Hi, I'm Sung Ray.
I'm something else.
Here, Black Girl Seoul, a podcast where we discuss the Asian dramas we love from a Black female perspective. We are looking to be entertained, to learn about other cultures, and share our passion for these shows. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. This is Black Girl Seoul with something else and
Sung Ray.
Today we are reviewing the Japanese drama Age Harassment. It's about a young female entry-level employee in a large company who must reconcile her personal and professional aspirations with the realities of her workplace. She is forced to deal with a variety of types of personalities and office politics as she has a professional awakening, if you will, into what she really wants to be and what she wants to do both personally and professionally. Sungray, since you most recently watched this drama, and I watched it years ago, why don't you start us off?
So overall, we're looking at is as she said, a story about a young lady who comes into this company. She's fresh in and she comes into a position. She's seeking to work in the textile department and she almost made it, but for whatever stroke of genius, she was moved and she's in this general division department. And in the general division department, they kind of work on some of everything. They're the people who are responsible for changing light bulbs. They're the people responsible for changing the filters when the air conditioner goes out. They're the people responsible for cleanup when certain things go wrong. They even have to take care of like if the toilets get messed up or stuff like that. So they've got like this weird placement in the company where they're like the everything and the anybody people. And in that, she begins to learn and work into understanding things that I guess I'm not sure for Japanese culture how this quite works, if they discuss it in college or what, but like just thinking in terms over here in America, you learn about different types of harassments that occur in job scenes, whether it be racial, whether it be male, female, whether it be, and that's the gender harassments, or whether it's the age discriminations, if it's physical discrimination. So she's dealing with like seeing all of these things on the job place and taking them on. So one of the things that made me laugh from the very beginning is that she like has this moment where she goes a little bananas when she sees her form of harassment happening and she just can't take it. So she has to speak out about it. And when she goes to speak out about it, she tells them she's going to hammer a nail into their head and she goes off, and it's kind of hilarious. So that was what made me like, oh, okay, I think I could watch this because one, just to see how other cultures deal with these types of harassments, and two, just seeing, I don't know where Emery, because her name is Emery, seeing how Emery is going to deal with it. And one, when she begins to see herself in some of these things, because like she's busy pointing out everybody else's stuff, but then internalizing for self and seeing for self what's going on and what's happening, and where she's also falling into some of these categories. Overall, I gave this like a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. It was a good drama. I enjoyed it. I watched it to the end. However, there were some places where I felt like they could have done things just a little bit differently and made some adjustments in pacing. But that was just my opinions. What about you? Something else? How'd you feel about this overall?
So yeah, I really enjoyed reviewing this drama again because I'll say that the first time around when I watched it, I think I just had a different mindset about the drama. And so I, like with fresh eyes, I can see things differently. I can see the humor again. I was reminded about how funny it was. And it reminded me about how Japanese dramas can be, where sometimes they're just like incredibly serious. And then other times they're serious with like goofy elements. But this drama was kind of down the middle because it was a serious drama. But when she would get into that kind of like I'm gonna beat your ass mode, where she was just like a straight truth teller. And it's always like she would say, I think she always used the phrase, I'm gonna hammer a nail into you. Like she would say
Yes.
that. And you'd be like, she going super saiyan or whatever, she was like getting into like her truth teller mode. And then she would, in a weird twist, she would tell the complete truth, like truth to power, didn't matter who it was, and then everyone would just accept it. Like no one was like, you're fired, because that doesn't happen in reality. Like you're not going to say any kind of thing to anyone and just interrupt. Like she would interrupt meetings, she would interrupt like major events, and she'd be like, all of a sudden she'd be like getting all, her face would scrunch a little bit, and she'd be like, I'm gonna hammer a nail into you. I'm like, damn chick, calm down. Like if you were a coworker, you'd have been like, I like you, chick, but I'm gonna step over here because you look like the type who bring a gun to work. Like, you know, you look like the type who might slap somebody. Like she would get all amped up, and it was funny. But yeah, I mean the overarching, one of the overarching themes, the main one, was that she was in every episode dealing with kind of adversity, or she was either dealing with it or she was seeing it, right? And she was kind of figuring out and negotiating how she would deal with it. And sometimes it wasn't her, it was like what she watched happening. And and just the unfairness of things. Like from the get-go, it was unfair to her because she expected to be in one department and she wasn't, so she had to deal with that disappointment, right? And then she started to see how people can be in the workplace. I mean, and so that kind of reminded me of when I first joined the workplace and what it was like to negotiate um, with the realities of no longer being a student, like a college student, and then having to be in a place for 8 hours. Like I initially didn't know. I was so stupid. Initially, in my first job, I just thought to myself, how am I going to work for 8 whole hours? Like I was used to working like 4 hours with like work study positions, and I was like, I'm going to be there for 8 whole hours. Like, how much work can you do? So, Sungray, what was your first initial like job? Was it what you expected? Did it disappoint you? I mean, what was it? What
Um,
was young Sungray dealing with?
my first initial job was one that I mean, it was just, a regular little part-time deal, but I think some of the aspects of understanding how to follow order. There's a pecking order in all jobs, like who's the
Mm,
highest authority, who's this person, who's that person. And because I grew up in a home where my mother was a business owner, she was the head. Whatever she said happened. You make a suggestion to her, she, okay, that's a good idea. Let's do that. So for me coming in and going, oh, I can't just talk to the head because I feel like it, or because I want to share something that I think needs to change, or I see something that's out of whack and I think we should try it this way. Like, yeah, that was my, oh, okay. So I think it was that concept of order, whatever the order or pecking order thing is, that I had to get adjusted to and deal with. From there, also inter-office romance is dealing with liking coworkers or
mhm.
coworkers liking you, and that doesn't work at work. So
Well, it does, but it's
ah,
ratchet depending on
man.
how you do it. I mean, listen, office romances sound all romantic and nice. I mean, goodness knows in my workplace, I would love for that to happen. Not in my immediate workplace because there ain't nothing fine. Mm-mm. Nowhere near. I mean, it's just, but it's not even built that way, like real talk. But in the larger company, I'm like, there's some nice here. But see, when you're so used to going directly to your desk, I mean, pre-COVID, of course, when you're used to going directly to your desk and dealing with the same coworkers all the time, unless you are like putting in effort and going to the lunchroom or one of the cafeterias, trying to like put on a show and see what's about and be social. Like I never had like that kind of energy. Like I always had aspirations, but I just never had the energy. And so I don't know. I'm rambling here, but to bring it around back to age harassment, I think that that was just like an interesting aspect of like what she had to see in the workplace, where of course one big element of the show was that she fell in love with one of her coworkers, and then of course um it wasn't just about age harassment, it was about other harassment. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a heavy leaning towards sexual harassment that flowed through the show. I mean, you watched it fresh. So please speak to that, Sungray.
Well, before I speak to that, I'm gonna jump back to the, as I was saying, inter-office romance. So that was why I kind of hinted at that, because I kind of experienced semi what Emery had to deal with, where it was a guy that we worked with. I didn't drive at the time, and so he used to drop us off, a group of us, and he would always make advances, and eventually I fell in, but I didn't realize he was also dating someone else at the job site.
Girl.
And yeah, it turned, as you called it, ratchet. Yes, it was very ratchet, but no more ratchet than these people had going on, because the woman who Emery, the guy, I'm saying woman, I'll get to the woman in a moment, but the guy who Emery was talking to, or flirting, being flirtatious with, and eventually started liking, that was Sada, Koshi Sada, Koichi, and then that's the surname, I'm assuming. See, for these, I can't tell if they have their surname first or second, but I think the
Yeah, I think
surname
it's
is
the same.
second. No, not how this website has it. Because
Oh,
it
okay,
says,
because the website I'm looking at, like Emery, it's like Yoshi Emery.
but
So
on
they
this
put
one it
her
says
surname.
Emery Yoshi. So that's why I'm saying, I'm
Oh,
realizing now they don't have it the same as I'm used to looking at for Korean information. So his name is Koshi Sada. Sada is his last name. But any which way, him is who Emery was talking with. And so they, began having this thing going on, but then he was also dating Yukuri, Yuriko,
right.
Yukiro. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm saying it correctly, but her,
Yukiro.
she's the Emery supervisor. So
Mm-hmm.
he and Emery's supervisor are on the same level in the company, but she's also married with a kid. So it's like
It's
all
a
this
mess.
drama that was going on with these three, that I was like, okay, I more than understand this, because in my job site where I was at when I first started working, yes, I liked the guy. He would flirt, and we never ever did anything. And I'm grateful, because I found out about him and the other lady before we got any further. And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't do this. This too much confusion in one space, and we ain't even here on the whole 8-hour day. I'm here half the day. No, I'm good. But for her with Emery, she didn't realize, and she got caught up, and another coworker started seeing all this drama, and it was just crazy,
Right.
because she came back whispering and telling tales, and then even tried
Right.
to hold it over their heads at some point, like, well, I know
Right.
you're doing
The
this, that,
old
and the third,
lady.
so so you're gonna want to let me do this. It was just funny. But yes, the older woman on their team.
Right. I mean, and let's speak to that real quick before we come back to like the rest of the sexual harassment
Yeah.
that was rampant up in there. Like, okay, real talk. Have you ever had an older female coworker who was just a bitter bitch? Because I have had that type of
I
coworker.
haven't had that. Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so a couple of times in my life, I'm remembering easily too, but I feel like there's a third that maybe I blocked out because I need to live my life and have my spirit be clean. I just can't think about it. But easily two older female coworkers who I initially looked at as mentors. I was not a threat to them. I was not causing them any kind of trouble. I was just trying to be me and just trying to shine and just in the act. Like when you are a young entry level coworker or worker, like just the act of you being optimistic and trying to do your best is a threat to some older female workers. Now, this is crazy because when I interviewed for lots of jobs, it was the older white workers supervisors or selecting officials or whomever who took to me. Um, if I interviewed with a young white person who is maybe slightly older than me, but not like in their 50s or 60s or something, I like rarely got the job. It was just something weird. So I was partial to older people in the workplace. And I deferred to them easily because I came from a traditional background. So I deferred to them. And so when I would be in the workplace and you had like older females showing their ass when I did a nice PowerPoint presentation, it was it was crazy. It was crazy. And so I remembered like that Emery had to deal with this chick because I was like, damn, what is up with like older ladies being bitter? Like they've had some years, professional years under their belt, and then they see new people come along and they just like want to poop in your cereal. I don't get it. But I'm glad you've never had that experience, but I most certainly have.
Yeah,
So
no, that one I can't say because usually I am in the field I work in. I come across as and anybody who's offended, I apologize for you because this is just the take I've received. I come across as like the Aunt Jemima. Everybody thinks you're going to come in and just be so wonderful and sweet and awesome and take care of things and make things happen. So they're always open. And, the people who I have the problem with is usually other females who look like me or who are intimidated, for lack of better words. They're intimidated. But for everybody else, it's like, oh, you're, da 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 da, that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't usually get that.
They really don't know you.
No, they don't. But
yeah, because I don't see that at all. Like that is trippy. But you know what? That's the weirdness, and we don't have to stay on it forever, of course. But that's the weirdness of being Black in the workplace, because if you're not recognizable, they demonize you. And I'm not just talking about like, I'm not talking about white people or racist white people. I'm talking about Black people. I'm talking about all races. They demonize you. But then if you look like you should fit into some role, like if you look like you're anything over like 25 years old and you're Black, and like they'll try and fit you in this kind of like mammy role, and you're like, I don't even look like that. Like, what are you doing? Right. And one of my close friends is Asian, actually. She's Laotian, if I'm saying that correctly. Her family's from Laos. And when she came into the workplace, people expected her to be the quote unquote China doll. They expected her to be like all like demure and like quiet and to not say anything and to accept any kind of like
and that's not her.
Right. I was like, have you even talked to her? Do you not recognize like this chick is not playing with you? I mean, and sometimes she play up to it because I mean, for real.
I mean, real talk, I think we've all given in because I give in to my role every once in a blue moon just because like it makes my life easier.
Right. And she would give into it when it came to the workplace sometimes, and she would do it with dudes, and it was hilarious. I mean, like, this chick is about to gank you. She about to put a shiv in your side. You do not know her. Like, she's smiling and just like blinking her eyes and doing that whole China doll thing. Like, one dude said, oh yeah, she's my China doll. And I was like, she ain't from China. What the hell? But anyway, that's a whole different story. Y'all know we ramble.
So back to sexual harassment, because we're talking about sexual harassment in the show Age Harassment. So one of the things that that drama that really stuck out to me, they had a guy who, and okay, so let's just say her supervisor that I told you, Koshi, and did I say it right? Okay.
No. Was it Koshi? Are you talking about the female, or are you talking about the guy she dated?
Oh, no. You're Yukuri.
Okay.
Her. She had a guy who was like who was over her, and then she had a guy who was under her. So the guy who was over her would always like try to stop this guy who was under her, the guy who was right up under her. So like if she's the general manager, he's the executive manager. So as the executive manager, he would just come out and say the most horrid shit. And it was always sexual.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd end by saying, I'm joking, I'm joking, I'm joking. And
Right.
so then they eventually would call him out, like, you always say I'm joking, but you keep doing this shit. Like, you need to stop. Well, the guy who's over Yukuro, Yuriko?
Eureka.
Yuriko. Okay, that don't sound like what they were saying, but okay. Yuriko, the guy who was over her would say, "Hey, you have crossed over. Now this is sexual harassment, or you've crossed over. This is, now you are functioning in age harassment, or you've crossed over and you're doing this." But 9 times out of 10, it was some sexual harassment, because he would say things like, "Women should be doing this," or, "Oh, women should make sure they have their chests, sitting up," or, "Women should make sure their skirts are, a certain way." Like, he always had something
over the top wrong.
Yes, like, dude, are you serious? Where are you coming from?
But you know what? It's like, I have not suffered from that, but I've heard stories of just like men doing too much. And like we say from where we're from in the Midwest, doing too much. Just doing it. Cause you're like, okay. So I'm going to mention this show because I watched a little clip from it recently, and somewhere you may not have a reference for it, but I watched this show called I May Destroy You, with Michaela Cohen as the lead. I don't know if you heard of the show, but she dealt with sexual abuse on the show. But there's this clip that, if you can catch it, it is everything in life, where she does this monologue and she talks about how guys, like the guys who sexually harass, will walk this line. They will find that gray area where they can say some dirty, foul crap to people, and then they'll go, "Oh, I was just joking." Or, "No, you took it the wrong way. You misunderstood. Like, you're the one who's making things uncomfortable." And you're like, "Wait a minute. Did you just wait? Okay, no, maybe it was me." So that's what I think that, they kind of hinted at. But because it's a Japanese drama and it is a drama, it was like extra over the top. What do you think?
And you could be right, because again, that was always his line. "Oh, I'm joking." And to the point, by the end of it, I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, I don't know now, but I knew how to say joking in Japanese, because he said it every single time, because he kept doing it. He just kept doing it.
You're learning Japanese words and phrases. Oh, and that's okay. I'll talk about that at the end, but please go on. I'm sorry.
But no, just, back to him. He was that over the top type. And I do believe they may have used that in the sense of crossing those gray areas, because it was never anything that got him written up, called to the office, or even reprimanded. It was just his supervisor would say, hey, you're crossing over, like, pull it back. You watch yourself. You're saying things that could be considered, so he would, "Oh, no, I'm joking. But, I don't know. I think in jobs, and no, I've never myself had to deal with that either. I think in jobs, you do just kind of have to be mindful, because you want to treat people, end of story, end of the day, the way you want to be treated. I think that is seriously the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. If you don't want people coming at you crazy, don't come at other people crazy. And if you're not sure, ask a question. It's okay to ask questions if you're genuinely wanting to learn, and not because you're being an ass. But if you're genuinely wanting to learn, ask questions. People will help you, because they don't want you to cross over either. But if you're doing the shit because you're being an ass, well, yeah, it is what it is. You're going to catch what you catch. And depending on who you're talking to, because Emery was not playing with y'all.
No, she wasn't.
Come across an Emery who was going to tell you about yourself. And I'm like, that's me. I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to tell you about yourself.
Well, see, here's the thing. I mean, just to speak on that briefly, that's why I applauded Emery so much, because she was a character that could not exist in real life. Like, in real life, you have to negotiate around assholes and bitter coworkers. And that's why I unfortunately had to learn a little bit about how to navigate office politics. There are plenty of books out there, and I never felt inclined to read those books, but I have seen people maneuver and connive trying to like get ahead, because I always did it based on my just my work and just like, if my work is great, then great. And if I get along, great. But there are people who are, they can't just be in their lane. They got to look over in your lane, and then they got to like put roadblocks in your way.
And I
And so
think part
that's
of the
why I
problem, and I hate to cut you before you get too
mm,
deep in, part of where I think we need to address, Emery stepped into things that didn't have to be stepped into. Some stuff, yes, it was directed at her. And that's why I'm saying if it comes at me, that's different. But if you are in the vicinity of the hearing of the situation, I ain't necessarily got to speak on that. Some of the stuff
no, no,
Emery was
no,
jumping into, she was just in the realm of being around. I think it's different when things come directly at you because now you
no.
have given me the opportunity to respond back. Go ahead. I'm sorry because I just want
No,
to.
no, no. You're completely right. But that's what I'm saying. She's a character that would not exist in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like she'd have been fired purely on the whole nosiness factor.
Okay, okay,
Like,
okay.
okay, so you not only stepping into business that is not yours, but then you get in people's faces and saying raw stuff. She'd
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
fired like
yeah,
2 weeks in. So, but the reality of things, you deal with, office politics is real, and
true.
ratchet coworkers are real, and having to figure out how to negotiate that is real. For example, I love that they included the kind of cliquish women, because
Oh
y'all
gosh,
know
yes.
that is real.
Hell
Like
yeah.
where you walk in and it's like, oh, you get invited to lunch with the clique and they judge you. Are you good enough? Are you going to kiss ass enough or go along enough? Oh, you're not going to. Okay, we're going to keep you out of lunch. And then sometimes it bleeds over into the work. It's a mess. So I love that they included that aspect, because those women were always there. Those women were always paying attention and gossiping. And sometimes they were getting in
And they
Emery's way, and
even
other
called
times they were giving
her
her a break towards the end.
they even called her they said she had a foul spirit or a foul something that she was bringing. And I'm going, how is she foul? Because y'all are the messy ones. Like she was minding her business. She wasn't bothering you guys. You all decided to mess with her.
Well, that's why I like that they paid attention to the women. I don't remember if they paid, you can tell me if they paid attention to each woman, but they did kind of
To a
like,
degree. Yeah.
right, they did kind of give some focus to each woman, because there was that one woman who was older, but she always dressed and acted like she was younger, because
Mm-hmm.
because age harassment was a thing that filtered through the whole show. And so she was trying to like keep fresh for the opportunities that were there both personally and professionally. And so she was one who resented Emery at one point. Like no one liked Emery. At one
And
point or another, no one liked her. Even her boss, even her female boss, was giving her the side eye and the stink eye. And then it was you speak to it,
you
ma'am. You
also
speak to
had
it.
that one too who was older, but she didn't dress up or do too much, but she was a part-time employee. She wasn't a full-time employee, like she was
Mm-hmm.
intern or whatever. And they even talked in terms of those types of harassment, being a whole steady employee and being this like, you're not just like the rest of us because you don't have the same benefits and whatever we have. And her situation, because she was the one who was the super snooper, who was in everybody business, knew everybody's stuff because
Right.
she's snooping around catching details. You had the
Right.
one.
And that's
Go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say that, they're very stark about how they delineate that both in Japanese dramas and Korean dramas, about the part-time worker versus the full-time worker. And the American version of that is like the contract worker, right? The one
Mhm.
who comes in and like, some they're not full-time, they're just like the contract worker from a contract company, and they're not treated the same way or as equals, and they have to suffer sometimes from discrimination, because they're maybe overworked, or they do all this work and then the company never picks them up. It's like, I like that they dealt with the variety of types of discrimination.
Yes, I do too. I think that was very, very well thought out by the writers and the script writers. The other thing was you had those two younger women, and the one younger woman was being I think the guy was like basically running a game on her, like a money
Mm-hmm.
scam. And she had fallen in, thought he loved her and was going to get married and all this stuff. And then come to find out, really, he was just using her for the money and he had no intention, because she was working as a hostess at a, like a,
Doing the most.
no, like it was a strip club basically. She was a
Right, right.
host. So that they were like, oh gosh, because I think one of her supervisors found out, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, you can't do this because we'll have to fire you. So you're gonna need to make that go away real fast." And that's when all of her stuff blew out. And then you had the other one who, because she was saying that she had to help him through college, and whatever lie he had told, they were able to research and
Whatever.
figure out, yeah, no, that's not possible, and he's not even registered at any of these schools he's telling you he's at, or hospitals, because it was a school and a hospital. Then the other younger lady, they didn't really get into hers other than she was just messy. She seemed miserable and messy. So yeah,
Right.
they did deal. And then that one who got fired at the beginning, but I can't remember what she got fired for. She was one of the
Right.
co-workers, and something happened with her and Emery, and she wound up getting fired.
Yeah, and that happens. It all happens in reality somehow, where like I recently was watching something, and they talking about homosexuals, like these dudes who like will they're in a relationship because then they have a place to stay.
Oh,
And the extreme version is pimp culture, right? But
okay.
just the like, oh God, like stupid story. But I once knew a woman who was dating this guy, and she was paying for everything. She was taking care of him. And then she realized, she was like, dude, how are you paying for your car insurance and your cell phone? Because he didn't have work or nothing. And he was like, well, since you wouldn't pay for that stuff, I have other women who pay for it.
Oops.
What? Huh? That's how you gonna go? There's no apology, there's no
Wow.
shame in that. You just straight telling a chick like, this how you get out, you get down? Like
That's
so
strong as hell.
so it doesn't just happen in Japan.
Right. Wow.
But what else did you notice or see that made you like the drama?
I think the other thing would be like it had its dramatic effects. So the dramatic effect of me trying to figure out, is this woman ever gonna get caught by her husband? Like, her husband was the most laid back son of a gun you ever did want to meet. About her staying after work, her changing up, her, and I think
Oh,
at one point
Eureka?
they,
You, you mean
no. Um Yuriko's husband.
right? I just want to be
Yeah.
clear who she was, because I was
Yeah, I'm
like, huh?
sorry. Her
Okay.
husband, because he was just extremely laid back. But then at the end, they gave this one little quick hint at he might have known what was going on, because he said something that made me go, oh, did he know she was cheating? And he was just like
Mm.
really not caring about it. Like, wow. Because I can't remember what he said, but whatever he said, it made me go, oh, okay. I think he knew what was going on, and he just was real like, whatever, do what you doing. Because he was just at the house chilling. He was playing with the kid. He was taking the kid to the museums. He was shopping with her. He was not
He
caring
was
about the wife.
he was a low key homosexual. That's what he was. Low key homosexual too. Let's not play. He was like, "I'm gonna be in these streets. I don't care. I'm good." Like, you know what? That's why sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying. Okay, depending on how wealthy the guy is, as long as he's not famous, because that's a different level of funky. I don't know. I'd be like, when you're taking care of things, you're not bringing home diseases. We have a agreement set up. Go on, be in those streets. like that's why I understand some women who are just tired. They're like, my needs are being taken care of. This is about survival for me. Like, okay, do what you got to do. That's why I even understand it with homosexuals. Just do what you need to do. So yeah, I remember vaguely, like, you find out that that's just the deal that she has with her husband. She just wilding out a little bit, and he's chill. So
Yeah, very much so. The only other person who I think I wanted to kind of speak to before we begin to wrap up is Hiramoto. He was the tall guy who worked with them, who was being used by one of the another
Mm,
general manager type person, and
right.
was having him do these like little sneaky finance things, because they also ran the finances and putting money where it belonged. Had him doing some weird little finance things in the name of telling him, I'm gonna bring you to this department to work so you don't have to stay over there, because people clowned them because they worked in general affairs, and they would say
Right.
stuff like, oh, you all don't do anything all day, or you all are just hanging around all day, or you guys got to do all the funky jobs while we come in and we, do the cool shit. So like he kept saying, like, he would demean his job, tell him how he wasn't shit, but I got you, I'm gonna get your back, just do this for me or do this for
Right.
me, and he would do it. And I just kept feeling like, man, really, you gonna keep letting this dude run game on you? Like, it was episodes that this went through, and then finally they addressed it. And yeah, of course our girl Emery went bananas and had her gonna
Always.
hammer and nail in your head type of situation. But it was still like, I felt bad for him because he had been there. I think he said what, so many years, whatever it was, he had been there for a
Right.
long time in that same department doing the same shit. So I don't know. What do you think about that, getting pigeonholed? Because that's how I feel like some of them had been pigeonholed into general affairs.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was like a crappy department that was a catch-all for everything that no one else wanted to do. And it was an auxiliary department because it wasn't like a department that dealt directly with the public. It
Hmm.
just supported all the other departments. So yeah, if you got into that department, you felt like, oh snap, I'm like a crap employee that they wanted to hide somewhere, and they worked the hell out of them. I mean, let's keep it real. Emery was running around like with a
Buckets
bucket
and
and a
root and
mop in heels. This
and
chick was
that
running in
ladder
heels.
and
Right.
heels, yes, because they had a
Girl,
uniform. They had a
everywhere.
uniform.
Right. I'm like, chick, can you at least wear tennis shoes? Like, come on, that's not even cool. So it's like it was this weird dichotomy, right? Where she looked like a professional. She was dressed, she was crisp, and yet they had them doing the most low down jobs. And like you said with this guy, they had him like doing low down, dirty, nefarious stuff. And so that's why I like the drama. I mean, because okay, I like the drama because it was very thorough and it's worth watching if you kind of are mentally prepared for all the funkiness, and yet knowing that it's balanced with the fact that Emery is going to like lay that hammer down. Like, it balances out. You don't go into watching this drama being completely depressed every episode. You get to see how ratchet people can be, and then you see kind of how it gets resolved. So that is what is great about the drama. I personally would give the drama like a solid 7/8 out of 10. If I remember correctly, what I didn't like about the drama was the ending, and I'm not going to tell you what the ending is if you want to watch it. And I think I didn't like the ending because I was like in a more fairy tale mode, and from beginning to end, this drama is semi-realistic, not like 100% realistic, but like 85%, right? Because chick walking around talking about hammer and a nail, she'd have been out the door like in 2 weeks. But it and the characters were over the top, like when someone was bad, they were really bad. But it's a solid drama, and it's a good drama if you want to cleanse your palate of K dramas. Like, if you've been on a steady diet of K dramas and you need to kind of switch up the feel, then I would suggest this drama. And if you want another kind of female worker rebellion drama, like the female worker who rebels, I would try Nagi no Oitoma. It's Nagi, then No, then Oitoma, and it's about a young woman who is hurt both personally and professionally by her coworkers and by her serious boyfriend, and so she chucks the deuces at Tokyo and that job, and she moves out to like this hole in the wall apartment and reinvents herself. So if you want that kind of, if you need to like stop watching like very pretty Korean dramas, then go try these dramas. What do you think, Sonia
Now,
Ray?
for before, well, I want to say that for this drama, this was because I told you guys my issue when we discussed our last J drama was where to watch. This drama I was able to watch on Viki. Now, the one you just mentioned, where is that watchable?
Lord,
Okay, and that
Lord,
was all I
Lord,
was saying. That was
Lord.
all I was saying. That was all I was saying. Okay, you can stop.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
got
real.
you.
I think you're gonna have to check out like Daily Motion. Um was that Daily Motion? I believe it was Daily Motion. Like I think it's been saving me a little bit, but but it's not YouTube. Like better than YouTube because it has a lot of stuff, but the way they put it in, you have to like really pay attention to the titles because of how they list stuff. So
Well,
back to you, Songray.
before we go on, because I believe we've both given our overall views of where we think this is, we're gonna go ahead and switch it up to we wanted to talk to you guys about our poll. So we had done a poll on Twitter. And in the poll, our question to you guys, our listeners, our viewers, our moots as people call them, people who follow us and folks we follow and talk back with, it says drama endings. Are you happy or disappointed with them? We've been disappointed with drama endings lately, but what about you guys? So we had asked that question, and that was back in November 29th of 2020. And what we got was 41% of you guys said that you were more happy with drama endings. 46.2% said you were more often disappointed, and 12.8% said they were indifferent. So we kind of asked that question because basically something else and I had been watching dramas, and in our discussions, we were just realizing we were sick and tired of the bad endings. And so we had a poll just to kind of rule that out and ask about how you guys felt about the drama endings that you had been watching. And this was around fall of 2020. So I'm going to name a few of the dramas that were either ending or airing at that time. So we were talking in terms of, and I'm not saying we both watched these, I'm just saying these were the dramas that were out at the time. So it was Dodo So So La La Soul, More Than Friends, Private Lives, Record of You, School Nurse Files, Birth Care Center, Tale of Nine Tail, Spies Who Love Me, Alice. Those were some of the dramas that were out at that time. So just to put you back in a frame of reference of when we're talking. Something else. How did you like what possessed you to feel like endings had just been being bad at that time? And how do you feel now?
I mean, we've talked about this before, and I think that a lot of times the writers put all this angst in like the initial, like they have a great idea and they keep that drama going, but they don't know how to end it. It's like it's like everything just peters out at the end. And as we discussed, there were some shows like Itaewon Class that just like gave you 5 endings, like they didn't know how to stop a show. So so it's a mixed bag. I think there's this weird place where I'm used to American dramas or American television where they know how to like give you the fairy tale happily ever after ending and just close the hell out of it. Like close it with a kiss, damn it. Like keep it simple. But here's the problem. With some Korean dramas that close with a kiss, that kiss is weak as hell. It's jacked up. It's not even a cute kiss. Like you've been through the fire. You have walked through hell together. And then the kiss is weak. They're getting better though. They are drastically getting better because depending on the age, they can do a full-on kiss. Are they giving us tongue? No. So they have something to reach for. Y'all need to get to tongue. And one day, maybe y'all do some Bridgerton sex and it will be official.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Let's not. I am still at pearl clutching when I see the covers come out like, oh God, we're going to bed now. Wait.
Right? But oh my gosh, we're stupid. But I have faith in how all Asian dramas and especially Korean dramas, I think we were thinking about at the time, how they can like pull it together. Like, for example, the ending for Age Harassment wasn't my favorite, but it was solid. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
there is the different, there is not liking how a show ends, and then there is the execution of the ending. Those are two separate things.
They
And
are.
sometimes the execution of the ending is for trash. It's all fumbly and weak and sad. No, you can do it stronger. You can have, you know, like you don't just have them looking into each other's eyes and then they just fade off. No, you have them, you know, like
Or like that
make it
bullshit
strong, make a
record of
strong
youth where they
ending.
walk off together. The fuck is this?
Right. I'm like, y'all are grown. Y'all in your 30s and you just holding hands walking towards the lake. And I've seen that. That is for trash. I forget what that drama was, but I went through the whole drama for them to do that. I was like, y'all didn't even have some tongue in that. No, that's disrespectful. Disrespectful. But yeah, with Age Harassment, it was a solid ending. Looking at it years later with fresh eyes, I thought it was solid. In fact, I'm gonna go look and see if there's an Age Harassment 2 because that would be dope. What do you think, Sungray?
I kind of feel like for me, the problem is you get to this climactic portion of the dramas, and I listen to, I've mentioned them before, but Pocha Playlist, and so Pocha Playlist, they were talking about how you get in like your 12s and your 13s, everything is like gotten to this gut point and then they kind of peter off. And so I kind of feel that, because I feel like for me it's like once you get to those last two episodes, what are y'all doing? Either they're trying to cram everything in, and that's not a good role. And so I think that's more what you were just speaking on in terms of execution, as opposed to, there are some dramas where they've executed well and it's an ending you just may not have liked, which is a different mindset. But they got through it, they got to the ending, you kind of know where everybody stands, you're not lost, you're not confused. Or when they try to throw those last minute time jumps in, stop that, please stop that.
Yes.
Like, please stop
Yes.
that.
They be doing that. Like I've even seen where they do that like 30 minutes into the last episode.
Yeah.
Where you be like, damn, y'all just didn't come on. You didn't even just make the whole last episode a time jump. You did the last 30 minutes and they just trying to clean up like, oh, now you're old enough to do the final kiss. Like, damn it, man. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just feel like, so that's, something that I've been paying attention to since we kind of put that out there, and I've been watching shows going, okay, let's hope this ending doesn't happen terribly, or let's hope y'all don't try to throw in 10,000 other things that you didn't touch before. So like, I'm looking at Mr. Queen today. The last episode dropped. I'm still waiting on subs. I'm just going to put that out there for all of my other folk in solidarity with me who are sick and tired of Vicky and they shit with this drama, because this drama, y'all did a horrible job, Vicky. I'm sorry, but I gotta call you out. The subs have been terrible. But anyway, Mr. Queen's last episode comes out today. And so I was like, okay, please, 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 please do not turn this into some crap. Do not go into this and y'all start trying to do stuff that you haven't been doing all along, because this has been like one of the best dramas ever for me. We're going to do a show on it. Don't you worry. Because even though something else didn't watch, I did. And I loved it, loved it, loved it. And so I just want to share with her and gush about how awesome this drama has been in so many respects. But anyway, and Vesper Tame in on Twitter, and she's one who is I love that she gives like extreme details. She has history and all that kind of stuff. She's been sharing a whole lot, and so a lot of what she said lines up with where I'm at, and I really appreciate and respect her opinion in that she's talked in terms about not just the drama being a good drama, but like why it's a good drama, and the writing, the comedic timing, things like that. Those are all important, and they've done an awesome job with that thus far. So again, last episode, plus we have this like special that came up, which is supposed to be an epilogue and a prelogue. Is it
right?
Is that right? Is that right?
A prelogue and a
Epa is the end. I got that part, but
right.
the before?
Prologue.
There we go.
I'm like pre.
Like, yeah, because I'm missing? Like pre is the word in my mind, but I'm going, that's not right. That word's not right.
right. So but no, something is up when they got to do something like that to round off a show.
I don't even think they're doing it to round it off. They're doing it to just help fill in some further gaps, because some of the stuff, like the drama as is and what we're doing is going, if they do what I think they're going to do tonight in tonight's episode, it should be fine. However, you do still have some, what about old boy? Is he alive? Is he dead? What's happening with him? What about her? Where was her
But
spirit
that's
all
what
of
I'm
this
saying.
time?
But
So
that
if
is
they
what I'm
do that,
saying.
I feel like that's fun because they're adding more to it. It didn't need to be there, but they're adding to it. Do you get what I'm saying?
So if okay, so you're saying that if it hadn't had those pieces, it would have still been a solid drama.
Oh, hell yeah. Because
Okay,
they
okay,
gave
okay,
me enough to realize he was laying in the hospital. His spirit is here.
okay.
It's supernatural. We're not dealing in terms of this is what happens in real life. We all realize that's not the case. His spirit is in the Joe Sang period, and the girl in my retelling has merged with him. Some people are saying she's just gone. I don't really know, but at the end of the day,
Ma'am,
I
stop.
wasn't concerned with
Stop.
her. Like I wasn't
Stop.
concerned with either of those.
Stop.
So,
Sunray, stop. Now you know how good the drama is because now she's sliding into a whole other show, y'all. To talk about Mr. Queen. I'm like, wait a minute. And this is, and I have no problem with it because I applaud her for loving this show. And I hope that you all love these dramas as much as we do. But Chick is straight up going over time with this. And we need to save this for that show. Yes. I look forward to hearing about it because I have seen online how people are raving about this show. It's just not my type of show. And so but I am willing to be convinced. So look out for that episode. But otherwise, we have talked about age harassment.
Yes.
Trying to get you back on point.
I'm going back.
I'm trying to take you back from your hometown, South Korea, and bring you back to Japan.
And that's where I was going with this. Before we go and say goodbye to you guys, just something else, and I have made the commitment that we were going to try to watch other country dramas, not just other Asian country dramas, not just Korean. And so we kind of did a little bit of a discussion, but nothing major at all on different Japanese dramas. So I was able to get some pointers from, I think it was the K3. No, it was not the K3. Ew, Jesus. It might be Nuna Dramas, Nuna Podcast. I'm sorry, I'm pulling it up now because I feel terrible for not having their name like ready to go. That's not how this is supposed to work. But any which way, they listed a drama. Them. Yeah, well, no, not even that. They were listing J dramas and where they were watching because, again, for me, that's been the issue. So could you tell us what J dramas are you looking at?
Right.
Something else new.
Oh, you know what? It's like a weird, when you said that, I was like, what? Well, it's like this weird place that I'm in right now where I don't know how to explain it. It's like I watch them, but I don't even think about telling you guys about them. So I'd have to go back and look. Like, for example, Nagi no Oitoma. I like knocked the heck out of it and didn't think twice about it. I think I have notes somewhere where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to talk about it somewhere. And I'm going to check out my watch list because what else did I watch? I watched that. I told you all about Nigiru. I watched that. I was watching Atashinchi no Danshi, which is supposed to, like, I remember it from old school. It's an old drama, like 2009 drama about this woman who marries this guy, this rich guy who then like basically leaves her his 4 sons or 6 sons or something like that when he passes away to take care of. But I tried that drama and it was too old and it got on my nerves. I'm looking for something. So that's why when Sungray asked the question to me, I was thinking she was asking it to you guys because it's a real thing to ask you guys. Like, what Japanese drama should we be checking out? I'm even watching a Chinese drama right now. But I forget the name of it. I'm so ratchet right now. I'll have it all together. You all help me
So
get it together, okay? So if you would, we're gonna put out a poll about what Japanese dramas we should be checking out, and then we're
and
gonna
if you all could
take your
also tell us
suggestion.
the where, because that's important
Right,
to Songray, the where.
right.
It was Jesse from Certified Nunas. Jesse from Certified Nunas was they just put out like periodically what they're watching, and she was watching the Japanese drama Midnight Diner, and it's on Netflix. So Netflix has all three. There's part one,
Oh
part two, part
yes.
three. So I'm getting ready to roll into that as I'm pulling in other stuff that I'm looking at. And I had also started, but didn't get like I ain't even finished a full episode. But I started I oh sorry. I'm like, what is that?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this
Go ahead.
briefly. So like another drama that I watched in the last like 2 months was Hotaru no Hikari, and it's about this woman who's like busted and disgusted and a real slob at home, but when she goes to work, she has it together. And then her supervisor, who she really has nothing to do with, ends up having problems in his marriage. And so he moves back to the family home that she's been renting. So, of course, they live together. So, that's another drama. And there's a part two that I'm going to watch. But I was going to suggest Sung Rae. Do you think it'd be a good idea that we both watch that Midnight Diner, like at least the first one?
Yeah, I
And
plan to
then
watch it.
okay, so if we both watch that, because I have it in my queue too,
Okay.
then if we don't talk about it, we're at least going to do a blog about it. So let's do
Okay.
that.
That works. And the
Okay.
other one that I was saying that I had started but didn't like get too deep in, I'm like had picked up some other old dramas I was rewatching. So I was like, let me finish these and then I'll come back to this. But it's When One Day I Will Sleep, and that's on Viki that I was able to see that. So like there's stuff out there. It's just a matter of knowing what to find, where to find, and what's good and what's not. So we do act seriously. Listeners, please, 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 if you're watching any good J dramas, share. Where are you watching them? What are they? And how can we, how can we get down? We want to see some new stuff as well.
Right, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's very easy to find Korean dramas, and I think they do that on purpose, but it is much harder to find Japanese dramas.
Yeah, it
And
is.
what the worst is, like I'll go to like some of these like my drama list or some of these sites that list all these dramas, and I get all excited. I'm like, oh, I want to watch that, and then I cannot find it anywhere. So that's part of my malfunction. So as you can see, we always need your help. We love you listeners, and we want your help to help us enjoy this thing that we all love, Asian television, Asian movies. And actually, let's speak to that real quick before we end this. So Space Sweepers. We are going to be doing one about Space Sweepers because
Yes.
you have not seen that. We're not going to talk about it. We both love it so much, but we're
Yes.
going to do an episode about that. So look out for that and be ready to give us your opinions about it too.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us. We look forward to talking with you again soon. This is Song Ray and
Something else.
from Black Girl
Bye.
Soul. Reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on YouTube and listen to our pods wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a good one. Thank you so much for listening to Black Girl Soul. We enjoyed having you, and please subscribe, like, and follow our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter page, Instagram page, and join our Facebook group. You can also find us on Patreon. Please look below for links. See you guys next week.